Blacks in technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.
On this episode of the Big Tech Talk podcast, our guest is Maliya Baxter. Maliya Baxter is a student at Towson University studying computer science. In 2022, Maliya founded the student group Sister Scripters, which supports undergraduate African American women in technology and computer science by providing them a community to help them achieve their personal, professional, and educational goals while raising leaders in STEM advocacy. Maliya regularly collaborates with other organizations on and off campus to provide a safe space for women of color to pursue their tech dreams. Her goal with Sister Scripters is to help amplify Black women's voices in technology, encourage the participation of other Black girls to join tech, support the curiosity of STEM education, and educate Black women on the career readiness skills needed to land jobs and internships in various tech environments. Upon graduation, she plans to apply for nonprofit status for Sister Scripters to continue growing the organization and expand its reach to different organizations and universities nationwide. And now, our guest, Maliya Baxter.
Hey, Maliya, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. As we typically do, could you give us a little bit of information about, your background, kind of where you're from, a little bit about your education, things of that nature?
Yep. Well, I'm currently a senior at Towson University, and I'm actually set to finally achieve my Bachelors of Science in Computer Science in exactly 10 days on May 26th at 3 o'clock p.m. So I'm very excited.
Congrats.
Thank you. I am counting down. But I'm from Maryland, and I actually grew up in Charles County, but I currently reside in PG County.
Okay. So tell us, how did you first become interested in tech?
Well, actually, in middle school, I went to Milton Summers Middle School in Charles County, and they had this thing called Hour of Code, where students were introduced to coding by using a website called code.org. I'm not sure if you're familiar with code.org, but
yeah, I've heard of it.
it's similar to Scratch, if you're familiar with that.
Okay, yeah.
So we were using block code, and we were able to create our own little games. And so in 8th grade, in my math class, I got really into the coding portion because I just had this realization that I was able to be like super creative with coding, and I could really create anything that I wanted. And that really blew my mind, honestly. And also my classmates would ask me for help. And when I went home and I continued to explore code.org on my own, my mom, she was affirming me, telling me that this was cool and I was doing a good job. So
Nice.
with that, I was like super duper excited to continue pursuing something. And I was also excited that I finally found out something I was really interested in, something that allowed me to not only be creative, but something that also challenged me. So that's really my story. It all started really in middle school, and then I just continued with that in high school.
Nice. Yeah, early exposure is definitely key. And then having your mom in your corner to support you is key too. And I say that because, in some households, sports or some other extracurricular activity usually takes the forefront. Usually that's in the forefront of a parent's mind, like, hey, get my kid active and get them into some type of so to have a parent to say, hey, like, this is something you're interested in, that's great, I'm going to support you, I think it's a fantastic thing. That helps a lot. So you got into it in middle school. Tell me this? What was the first program that you done on your own that you coded?
In middle school, that was it was like a Star Wars game. So the theme for the code for the Hour of Code was like a Star Wars theme, and so it was like a basic platform game. A basic, you just take the character and you move it around. So that was my first one, and then I just kept playing. I got home and I just kept playing with it, kept making different games, and yeah.
The BIT Foundation has established featured partnerships and programs with companies such as Amazon, AT&T, CompTIA, Techstars, and more to provide our members with the resources we want and need to thrive and succeed in this tech ecosystem. To learn more, visit foundation.blacksintechnology.net. Join now, and remember, membership is free.
What type of languages were you learning in high school?
So my first introduction to programming course, I was using Java.
Okay.
And then when I took AP computer science principles, then we moved back to the block coding. It seems kind of backwards, but yeah. So
Okay. And so during that period, I know you had your mom as your as support. Were there any other influences that you had along the way?
My high school computer science teacher, Mr. Stone, was actually a huge influence on me. So during my sophomore year, actually, I was taking a general computer science course.
Mm-hmm.
In between the time of middle school and the beginning of high school, I kind of forgot about the coding. But then we started to do Scratch again. So, well, not Scratch again, but we started to do Scratch in the general computer science course. And so my excitement about coding peaked again.
Okay.
And so I told my teacher that I wanted to learn more about coding, and she introduced me to Mr. Stone. And so I went to St. Charles High School, and we had these different pathways you could get into.
Okay.
My junior year, I started the computer science pathway. And I remember on the first day of school of my junior year, I entered my first introduction to programming course, as I mentioned before. And immediately, like, my heart sank for real, because I saw a room full of men. And that was the first time I had ever stepped into like a classroom like that.
Yeah.
So I saw a room full of men, and it was only maybe two other girls, including me. I took my seat at the front, and I think Mr. Stone could honestly see the panic in my face.
Right.
And he came up to me, and he asked me if I was okay. And I just whispered to him, I was like, "Yeah, I'm dropping this class."
Wow.
Yeah. But he encouraged me to stay. And I'm very grateful that he encouraged me to stay. But he encouraged me to stay because he said that I would do great. I did. I definitely did do great. I did. I excelled again. During this time, Mr. Stone was also like the faculty advisor for Girls Who Code. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's basically an organized, Girls Who Code.
Yep.
So I joined that, and I got to work on some really cool projects with him and the other two girls that were in my class. So Mr. Stone made me feel super comfortable about technology, and he helped me to be proud to be a woman studying technology. And he just like really made room for me, and he just appreciated, like, I don't know, he just like advocated for me, and I really
Right.
needed that. And I really appreciate him for that. Like, he was so much of an influence that I actually wanted to become a high school teacher just like him.
Oh wow.
That has definitely changed. Definitely don't want to be a high school teacher anymore, but that was my first initial goal was like, okay, I'm going to get this bachelor's in computer science, and then I'm going to be a
Right.
high school teacher. But that has definitely changed.
Well, shout out to Mr. Stone.
No, for real. Huge shout out to Mr. Stone.
And it's so important because that he did that, because representation matters. But when you don't have that representation, having someone there as an ally and who can advocate for you is really, really huge. And he took it upon himself. He noticed from your, maybe facial expressions and body language, and he came over to you and he reassures you that this is where you belong. And that's, that's so powerful, because that's the mission of BIT as a whole, is that we belong in this space too. And so we just try to encourage people, Black people, to get into this space. And who knows, if it weren't for Mr. Stone, I'm not saying that you wouldn't have picked up code, but it's always helpful to have that person that that can champion you. So shout out to Mr. Stone.
Yeah, huge shout out.
You leave high school, you go to the university, and in your bio you said that you won the Hills, is it Lopez?
Hill Lopes.
Hills Lopes Scholars Program. Tell us, or you were able to get into the Hills Lopes Scholars Program. Tell us a little bit about what that program is and how it assisted you and at the university.
So the Hill Oak Scholars Program is designed to support women in STEM. The program offers like coursework, research, seminars, mentorship,
Mm,
um, personal professional development. So many different good things come from this program. It just really helps you to get the professional skill, the professional academic skills that you need in order to be successful as
hmm
a woman in STEM. And so for me personally, like Hill Oaks has just played a huge role in my college career. So I actually joined as an incoming junior. So
Okay.
you can join as an incoming sophomore, but I joined a little bit later as an incoming junior.
hmm
And it just has given me the community, mentorship, sponsorship that I needed to become the person I am today, really.
Very nice.
When you're so used to being one of one in a classroom or one of three in a room, you
Yeah.
start to honestly feel like you don't need a community. Like, you get this pride that, like, oh, yeah, I can do it myself. Like, you kind of get this, like, stern type of demeanor to yourself. But
Yeah.
then, you see these group of women and you're able to commune with these group of women, and it's just so incredibly refreshing to be able to speak to a community of women after being around men all day. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing
No, no,
wrong
I
with.
get it. I totally understand. I mean, community is huge,
Mhm.
and that's what Blacks in Technology started out as. It wasn't.
Mhm.
We didn't have members the type of membership that we have now. We weren't doing podcasts early on or anything like that. It was more or less to convene a community so that we can support one another and help one another, and just have that community to fall back on, especially when there are incidents or there are situations that don't necessarily involve tech, right? Like there's social issues that happen. There's issues at the workplace. There's issues with different circumstances, and to be able to have a community and say and kind of get the opinions of the community and how
Mhm.
to handle a matter, is huge. And I can only guess, then when you're in a woman in technology, not only is it majority white, but it's majority
Mhm.
male. It's male
Men. Yep.
dominated. And so to have a community of women where you could go to, just the technical side is one thing, right? Just supporting each other on that side is huge. But then to be able to come in and say, I had this incident with this other, this man, and he made me
Yes.
feel this way, and then they can chime in and say, hey, you can handle it, or we're just here for you. We're just here to listen.
Mhm.
That's huge, and it helps people from being dismayed and disheartened about the dynamics, and the makeup of the industry from a demographic standpoint.
Yeah.
Um, that could be daunting alone. Just having to deal with that, and you being a Black woman, you're at this intersection of being a woman and being Black.
Yep.
That could be a lot, and it can turn you off from tech as a whole. It
Yep.
almost did, right? You came into the classroom and you were
Right.
just like, whoa, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
so just having that community is huge. And I'm glad you were able to, to have that community.
Yeah, and I'm thankful that, like, I get to speak with you because the fact that you recognize that I have two strikes against me. Well, I don't know. I don't want to call them two strikes, because I don't want
Yeah,
to say
let's not say
negative things.
strikes.
Yeah. But I'm a woman and I'm also Black.
Yeah,
So, I'm happy that you recognize, because I have to just explain that to people that, okay, yeah, you're a woman, but
yeah,
I'm also Black, so it's a little bit different. But
right.
like you said, like, it's just honestly refreshing, because not only is it just, women in tech, but it's women, and it's not just Black women, it's women in STEM who are, it's a super diverse group of women in STEM. And
hmm
so we get to see how, tech connects with biology and chemistry and physics, and, like,
Nice.
the stuff that they're going on, the things that they have going on, and the stuff that they're experiencing in their departments.
Right.
It's just a breath of fresh air,
Yeah.
honestly. I really honestly encourage every woman studying STEM at Tufts University, if you're able
Yeah.
definitely endeavor to join the Hill of Scholars program.
And I just want to throw this in here. Like you run across these certain people, not that you should listen to them, but you'll run across people that, oh, why do you need a women's group, or why do you need a group
Mm,
for Black people? And people think that it's an exclusive thing, but actually, what you're
mhm,
doing is you're advocating for inclusion. The more a community like a tech community of women grows, the more inclusive tech becomes as a whole. So it's like, give us this space. You've had this space for decades. So allow us to have this space. Allow us to grow and make tech as a whole more inclusive. Like that's what it's really. It's
yeah,
not about excluding anyone. It's about including us, right? So
right.
BIT is always focused on forming new partnerships and opportunities to assist the community and our members with their continued professional growth and development. If you'd like to partner with us, send an email, inquiries@blacksintechnology.net.
so tell us a little bit about what is Sister Scripters.
Oh, well, Sister Scripters is a
By
student-led
the way,
organ.
I love the play on it rhymes and it starts with both of them start. So I love the alliteration of it.
Yeah, Scripters actually came from, it's just scripting is, a coding language that doesn't have to be compiled. So that was the idea from that. But
Okay.
it's a student-led
Yeah.
organization that supports African American women studying technology to achieve their personal, professional, and educational goals and to support them on their tech journeys.
Hmm.
So, by supporting these young women, we in turn are raising a community of STEM advocates in order to work towards that diversity inclusion, to diversify the tech spaces, which is our mission.
Okay. And what motivated you to start the group? I mean, you're already part of the Hill Slopes Scholars Program, so you had a community there. So what motivated you to start this group to cater towards African American women?
So, just in addition from like my other experiences, like high school,
Hmm.
and my influences, it really just came from a desire for community. So when I
Right.
started at Towson, it was still named a predominantly white institution. So
Hmm.
my sophomore year, I kept seeing the trend that I was, one of three Black women in my classes, and I just noticed small things, like
Right.
being overlooked, whether that just be my ideas or my thoughts, or honestly being completely ignored. Like I really literally stood in front of somebody in one of my classes, my junior year, and I was like, "Hey, can I be a part of your group?" And I was it was like I was invisible, just
Yeah.
completely not seen. I knew I wasn't the only woman experiencing that at Charleston because I see a few of us, just a sprinkle of us,
Hmm.
and I get outside of my classrooms and I'm like, "Oh, you're studying tech? Oh, crazy, Kai! I didn't know."
Yeah.
So I went home one night and I said a prayer to God and I asked God to use me to make a difference. And Sister Scriptures was born. And honestly, I always say this that the mission statement, the vision statement, even down to the color palette that we use on our Instagram, that all came from a prayer. It all came from um, the Holy Spirit. And I just really took that vision and I just honestly ran with it.
That's amazing. There's something about what you just said as far as being ignored and being overlooked, and you mentioned something about it just being your thoughts, or it's so funny because, and it's also it's exhausting, but it's something that as Black people that we have to deal with, and that's to have these antennas up.
Yeah.
And there's people out there that be like, oh, you're just always looking for something to pin race on. It's like, no, like we there was a quote that James Baldwin said in a documentary I watched, and he said something about like, and I'm paraphrasing here, like if we don't have these antennas up, we can die. Going into a store and being, waited on and then being told something that I wanted behind the counter that it was a different price than what was advertised. And I was just like, you can't do that. Like, you have to honor the price. And this guy was just being, irate with me. And I'm just like, I
Hmm.
don't understand what's going on here. And so I was explaining this to a white colleague, and I was just like, I feel like that was a racist thing to do. Like, you have this price advertised, and all of a sudden, on the whim, you want to change it because you see it's me. And he was like, well, how do you know it's racial? Blah, 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 blah. I started going into all that. And I'm just like, man, I've been black all my life. You know, I
Yeah.
can tell when attitudes and
Yep.
behavior change because I have that antenna up. And it's because I've had to have that antenna up. It's
Yep.
not that I want it. I'd love to not have to worry about stuff like that. I
Right.
love not to, you know, have that on my mind 24/7, whether or not someone did something to me because of race. Like, who wants to actually live like that, right?
Right.
And it's exhausting because some things aren't as blatant and as direct as some people think they ought to be. They think that hey, you if they didn't call you the N word, then how can you say it's race? Like, that's not how
Hmm.
that works, right? So I found that what you were saying about that. Like, I've had that happen to me in workplaces before, where someone would come and ask me a question, and I would give them an answer with confidence, and they would go right next and ask my white counterpart, and they would say the same thing, and they just
Yep.
oh, okay, cool, yeah, that must be right. And it was like, hey, I just told you that. So that's so definitely I mean, and that right there is why community is important, because you can vent about those things, and then you can also understand and learn how to deal with that as well. So let me ask you, what does support look like within the group? What types of things are you all doing to help one another?
We are a sisterhood, and that's what we push the most. So we support each other as a sister should. So by loving one another, encouraging each other to reach our goals, whether that be by offering wisdom, mentorship, sponsorship. In our
Hmm.
Slack community, we have an internships and opportunities channel where we just post internships. Like, people send me stuff, people send other people things around campus, events, networking opportunities, job opportunities, whatever it may be. We're posting that there. Like, we are letting each other know what's going on. We're keeping each other on the up and up.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, that's important, because sometimes it's not about sometimes it's not just the tech part of it. It's just about the other things that come along with it, like letting each other know about an event or a job or an
Yeah.
internship or anything like that, and that's huge because that alone can bring other opportunities to that person and the group as well.
Yeah.
So what are some of, like, any major achievements, like, with the group? So tell me, a story or something that you feel that was just like, oh well, that was incredible, that happened with the group.
Well, honestly, for one, just being able to gather
Hmm.
black women, all the black women, or a good amount of black women studying technology in one room is a huge accomplishment. I honestly cannot tell you how many times I've heard, wow, I didn't know there was this many black women studying technology at Towson. Like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, that makes me feel so good that
yeah,
people are seeing people are seeing. And
yeah,
it's just shocking because it, like I said before, it is a lot of us studying technology at Towson, but for some reason we just don't be seeing each other in our
yeah.
classrooms. And I don't really know why that is, honestly. What I will say is, as you get higher up in this major at Towson University, you start to see yourself less and less. When you start off in your introductory classes, you see other people that look like you see other black men, other black women, but then
Right.
as you get higher, it just seems like they drop off or they switch their majors to,
Mm,
especially when it comes to the retention rate of computer science. Like, people will
yes.
start with computer science, then drop off to IT or IS, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like, we want to help that retention rate with black women studying CS and engineering.
Yeah.
So that alone is a super big accomplishment. But to add on to that, last year I was invited to speak at a Juneteenth event that Tufts University held. And so I presented our goals, and we were able to achieve all three of our goals. Some more, some a little bit more than others. So one of the goals was to grow our sisters' professional brands, and so we've hosted various workshops um,
Hmm,
to help grow their professional brands, like LinkedIn workshops, resume workshops. We had an
nice.
application party. One of
Yeah.
our biggest accomplishments from that was we had a speed networking event. And the speed networking event is where students were able to enter a competition, and they were judged on how well they networked with a variety of employers. So we had employers there from GDIT, Uber,
Very nice.
um, Mid Atlantic. Like they were also like some of our huge sponsors, so we were able to give away scholarships to four winners of that competition. So that
Oh,
was a
nice.
huge accomplishment, and honestly, the our vice president at the time did an amazing job with that. In addition to that, we also extended our outreach to Baltimore County Public Schools, working with K through 12 students to support STEM education. And then we also extended our community to support other majors. So we have a sprinkle of different majors that aren't tech. So we have some math majors, we
Hmm.
have um, like political science, communications, nursing, biology. We got a sprinkle, and I want to definitely try to expand that.
That is very good. Congrats on all
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And I love that you are reaching out to other professions or other industries as well, because nowadays the way tech is as prevalent as ever. I mean, there's tech in all those industries,
Right.
and so you all can help one another. Like it's so funny because I worked for a retail company, and during that time, I got to see like the inner workings of the technology infrastructure that they were using, and also some of the things that they were working on coming down the pipe, things of research and development. And I had a person I was mentoring. They hit me up one day and said, hey, I want to get your opinion or your advice on something. I interviewed for this retailer, and I interviewed for this other one. He was like, but I don't know about this retailer. Like, that's all they do is sell groceries. And I was just like, oh no, like, tech is incorporated in just about every industry
Yeah,
nowadays. And I was like, you'd be surprised at the technology that they're using at this place. So don't write them off because you think, on the face of it, you look like that all they do is sell groceries. On the back end of it, like there's a lot of technology and a lot of like groundbreaking stuff that they're doing. And with that advice, he ended up going and taking a position with that company.
great.
But I say that to say, when you bring in other industries and other people from other industries, they can actually, open other people's minds to these industries and the technology that they use within those industries.
Yeah, and I feel like there's gonna come a time when coding is gonna be something like one of the basic, like a basic language we
Yes.
have to learn. Like in addition to us learning reading, writing, math, like we're gonna have to start learning some basic coding. So
Yeah.
everyone will benefit from learning something
Yeah.
about tech.
Yeah. I agree, especially with AI
Oh,
on the
yeah.
rise.
Hmm.
But that also gives people an opportunity, with AI on the rise, like it gives people an opportunity to utilize the AI to help them learn how to
Yeah.
code as well.
Yes.
Um, the United States, really globally, but here in the United States specifically, you've seen cities that have really changed as far as the industry that they rely on for their economy, right? You have towns and or cities and southeast areas that were coal mining towns that have been hit really hard because coal mining isn't what it was 50, 60 years ago or even 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Then you have with automation, everything like that, and then you have cities that were, relied on, the automotive industry for a lot of their things. And now, since that becomes more automated, now you need people in these positions that can fix the machines and, code the machines that took their jobs, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's only going to continue. And I mean, only been within the past 20 or 30 years. Just think how it's going to be just in the next 10 years. Things are going to change dramatically because tech, builds upon itself
Yeah.
and begins to grow exponentially. So
Mm-hmm.
all the technology that we have now, the tech that is going to be coming in the future is going to build off of everything that we've established. If people, there's people out there that may think that certain sect of people are taking my job, so to speak, and
Uh-huh.
it's really a lot of automation, right?
Yeah.
And you can see that just in. I went to what is that, Panera, the
I
other
used to
day.
work there. So.
Oh, okay. So like Panera used to have several cash registers open and things like that, and now I walk in and there's 4 kiosks.
Really?
Yeah, like people come in and you use
Mm.
the kiosk, the touch screens to enter your order. You pay for it there, and then you just go and pick it up. Like there's one person at the register, and that's it. It's not again. It's not people taking it. It's like it's automation, it's computers, it's technology, and the more that grows, the more we're going to need people to be able to code them. So. What's up, everyone? We hope that you're enjoying this episode of the Blacks in Technology Big Tech Talk podcast. Do you or someone you know have a dope story that they want to share with our bit audience? Blacks in Technology is seeking guests to be on our podcast. We're looking to highlight the journeys and experiences of Black women and men in the tech industry. So if you know of someone, send them our way. Shoot us an email to contact us at blacksintechnology.net or click on the link in the show notes and fill out our form. We're looking to hear from you. So tell us a little bit about, you stated that you work with other orgs on and off campus to provide a space for women of color in tech. Give us some details into that work.
On campus, we actually partnered with this organization called the TU STEM Excellence. TU STEM Excellence. And so they support STEM education as well. And so this was actually last month, a few weeks ago, we partnered with them to teach high school or to really mentor young high school African-American girls to build Lego robotics. And so they were a part of, Baltimore County Public Schools. And so me and a few of my other sisters, we got to sit on a small panel and do a Q&A with the girls to help guide them on their journeys into STEM. But also just being able to be there to, mentor them while they're building their robots and like coding them and seeing them explore. Just that, I don't know, that's super exciting to me. Maybe that's the teacher in me. But also we partnered with the B Org. And so the B Org is a youth development program actually founded by Toni Lawson, and she is a Towson alumna. And so they hosted an event here on Towson called TechCon, where middle school and high school students were able to come and build, robot cars. So this was a little bit more advanced than Lego robotics, but because not only were they building the robots, but they were also programming them. So they had like actual CPU chips that they had to place, on the actual robots. And then that moved, of course, that like made the robots move and things. And so, I don't know, the kids, enjoyed this activity as well. And I just, like I said before, I really love working with K through 12 students because you get to see their faces really light up when they're doing something that they enjoy. And then, I would ask them like, oh, is this something that you're interested in? Is this something that you want to do? And they're like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And I'm like, wow, like you're in middle school. Like this is exactly where I was. And I got interested, and I just know like, from that interest, from that peak, being able to do super cool activities and events like this, like they're just going to ride off that momentum. And that's always going to be something that comes back up in their mind as they're growing and, before they get into their college career. And it's like, oh yeah, this is something that I did that I really enjoyed. And this is something that I also might want to study. That's what motivates me. I love that.
That's incredible, and that's huge. It's early exposure is so important, and
Yeah.
not only the exposure, but to just provide them with options to to decide whether or not they want to go into STEM.
Hmm.
And a lot of them, probably would if they were exposed to it. That's the issue is that a lot of our young black kids are not exposed early. And then not only that, having you teach them is a totally different
Yeah.
experience. It's there is someone there that represents me,
Hmm.
who is teaching me, and now they see you as they may view you as a genius at that, like, oh man, this person is a genius. Wow, I could be a
Hmm.
genius. I could, like, and then that right there is the spark that's needed to allow them or to enable them to pursue, or even just have the notion that I can pursue this. So being involved with the youth is a huge thing. I'm glad that that's something that you're also doing. So you recently accepted a position as a systems engineer through the North what is that, Northrop Grumman's Pathway Program.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that program, and what tell us a little bit about what type of work that you're expecting to do as a systems engineer.
Well, I'm honestly super duper excited to work at Northrop. Like, ooh, I'm excited. So I actually got the job at the BEA conference in February. I got connected with some really cool connections. Uh,
Mhm.
the team just amazing. I think they also actually I'm not even gonna say that because I don't want to say they got the wrong award. But anyways, yeah. So I met them at the BEA conference and I made some really cool connections, and they really helped me to you know, receive this opportunity. So the Pathways program is a 3-year rotational program, and it's for
Mhm.
entry levels engineers to help you acquire the tech skills and the foundational professional skills that you need in order to be a successful engineer at Northrop.
Mhm.
And so, I'm as a systems engineer, I'll be working with hardware and software, and that is super exciting for me because at Towson we don't really get that opportunity to work hands-on with like hardware, you
Yeah.
know, um, like that heavy engineering equipment, and that is really exciting. Like, I'm computer science major, but I'm more interested on the higher level computing or the more engineering heavy stuff.
Right.
So I'm very excited about that, and I'll be working in the mission systems sector. So yeah.
Okay. Very cool. That sounds pretty exciting. Um, I was a systems engineer for a number of years, so
Hmm.
you would definitely, especially if they have a lot of on premises equipment, like
Hmm.
if they have that data center and things like that, you'll definitely get quote unquote get your hands dirty
Yeah.
with that, and then hopefully they're doing stuff in the cloud as well, right? They're building infrastructure in the cloud, and you get
Hmm.
to experience that aspect of it, because there's a lot of cool things that you can do with infrastructure that is hosted in the cloud. So there you can bring your development chops into play when it comes to that, because you can now build infrastructure using certain tools that they call infrastructure as code,
Hmm.
and all it is you writing code on how to provision this infrastructure in the cloud. So you get to stay on top of your comp side development skills, as well as get your hands dirty with actual hardware. So that'll be pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Do you have a product or service that you would like to share with the BIT audience? Or maybe you'd like to support the BIT community and do your part in helping us with stomping the divide? Start by sponsoring one of our podcasts. Please email us at contactus@blacksintechnology.net.
So tell me what's next for you? What's next for Sister Scripters? Where do you kind of see that in the future?
So, in addition to working at Northrop, I am actually growing. After I graduate, I'll be working on growing Sister Scriptures into a nonprofit organization,
Nice.
which will be able to, help give back to our members financially. So, there's not a lot of grants and scholarships, at least at Taos University, that support Black women studying technology. Actually, there's none.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
there's
Let's be
none like,
real. Let's
yeah,
be
there's
real
none
with it.
there's none specifically for African American women studying technology, and so I want to be able to just really help our members in that way. But I also want to, expand the organization to other campuses across the nation. But at first, I want to start. First, I want to start in Maryland. In addition to that, I'll be working on getting my master's in math, not immediately after I graduate, but maybe a year or so down the line, I want to get my master's in math and then get my PhD to become a professor. So the high school
Oh, wow.
teacher turned
Nice.
into desire to be a
Professor.
professor. Yeah.
That's very cool. Well, I'll say this: if you have any questions about nonprofit stuff, you can always hit me up, email me. I'll be happy to share any knowledge that I have, so that you are armed with the knowledge. Because having a nonprofit is not
Mhm.
it's not easy. Let's put it like that. There's a lot of things you need to have in place to protect yourself and protect the organization. So just hit me up if you need any advice.
Right. Thank you so much. I, I don't know. I have a tendency to be like, oh yeah, I want to do this. Like even just getting a master's in math. Like I tell people these things and like, what? A master's in math? Like I know what I want to do and I know I'm going to do it, but I just
Yeah.
don't know all that I'm getting myself into.
Well,
But I know it's going to happen.
that's the beauty of the journey, right?
Yeah.
You don't know. It's like look, I'll say this: you never know what's going to become of what you do.
Hmm.
All you can do is kind of dream big and then try to take the steps to make that a reality. And I
Right.
say that because when I founded Blacks in Technology, initially the first iteration was a blog. It was me just wanting to get out there that hey, there are Black people in this industry, and this is some of the cool work that I'm doing. Right. I just wanted to kind of put a stamp on that. And then as it grew, it went from that to a community site. So we were, just had an online community with a where you could post questions. We had like a forums, and we had an embedded chat. There was a social media aspect to it where you can come and create a profile, all that type of stuff. And it was really just to kind of just build community. And at the time, I was like, you know what? If I get about 250, maybe 500 Black people as part of this community, I'll see that as success. Now, did I want to do something even more? Yeah, of course I did. But the idea, there has to be like an initial idea, and then you just kind of see where things fall, right?
Yeah.
And as things started to grow, you start making adjustments and changes to the growth. And then I had this idea to say, hey, if we did a conference, this is kind of how I would want this conference to go. But I never thought that I shouldn't say I never thought, I didn't know how to get there. And then these opportunities just started coming my way. And, you can, say that that's the energy out there, that's God happening,
Hmm.
right? Like it was like, oh, like somebody presented the opportunity to me. I'm like, you know what? I've been thinking about a conference for years, and this is how I wanted it to go. And, oh, okay, that sounds great. Let's do it. And those things just tend to happen. So you know, speaking it into existence to me is real, right?
Hmm.
And so for you, saying like, hey, I want to get my mind. I don't know how. Yeah, just say it, and you'll figure it out along the journey. And now
Hmm.
BIT is global. We have 70 something chapters in 20 something countries with over 25,000 plus members, right?
Amazing.
And that was something that it just started as me just wanting to have 250 to 500 people. So you have to start somewhere. You have to speak into existence. And then along the way, as long as you keep that positive mindset and you keep that growth mindset, you'll find
Hmm.
how to do it. It'll come.
Yeah.
So I haven't done this in a while. And I thought it would be cool to kind of start this back up with you. Some lightning questions. I have
Cool.
5 of them. The first question is your favorite tech movie.
Definitely Hidden Figures. Definitely Hidden Figures.
Okay, nice. Yeah, yeah. Favorite tech person in history.
Her name is actually Dr. Amafadon, Dr. Anne-Marie Amafadon, and she's actually from London. She's
Okay.
founder of STEMets, and she's works basically. She has the same, or very similar, mission statement as Sister Scriptures, where she's empowering the next generation of women in STEM. She also has a book called "She's in Control" that I love. It says how women can take back tech. Amazing.
Huh. Okay, I'll have to check that out. A person that inspires you the most.
Honestly, I would have to say Jesus. Like
Okay.
my faith is huge. My faith is huge.
Yeah. Nice, nice. What is your dream job?
It used to be NASA, but now it would be working at in the space systems sector at Northrop.
Oh, okay. Very cool. And your dream place to live.
I would definitely stay in the DMV, but I want to own a farm.
Really?
Yes, I want to own a small farm.
Wow. It's funny that you say that because, like, people usually think of farms as super low tech. So being a techie person and just, I just want a farm. That's pretty cool. It's kind of the opposite, but well, I guess not. Like it all depends. Like I went to a place up in Columbus, Ohio called COSI. It's a like a science like institute like / museum. And they had a display. I took my wife, and my sons up there, and they had a display of this farm equipment that was self-drivable farm equipment, right? And they were huge, like huge tractors and whatever balers and all that stuff,
Hmm.
and they were all autonomous. And I thought that was so.
That's
That
so
those
cool.
farms probably aren't as low tech as as I'm saying, but I'm pretty sure like nowadays, and I know it's probably dependent upon the money that you have to run a farm, things like that. But farms
Hmm.
can, autonomous, tractors and all that stuff. They're here already, and that was a few years. That was probably like in 2018 or 2019. So
Hmm.
no telling how far they've come now. So good, yeah. Good luck on that farm. On the farm.
Yeah, I just love animals. I love
Okay.
cows. I live behind a farm actually,
Oh, really?
like a huge farm. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, Maliya, I want to thank you for joining us on the Bit Tech Talk podcast. It was great speaking with you. Great hearing your journey. Hearing about Sister Scriptures and the mission that you have there. And I wish you nothing but the best in the future.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Take care.
Blacks in technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.